Know your values, use your gifts, and find your voice. That's what we're going to be talking about today with Rhonda Caudill. I'm so excited that you found your way to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host, and this podcast was designed to help you with your sales, your marketing, your business design as a Christian coach. My first time trying to run a coaching business, I had one client before going out of business because I didn't know what to do next. And the second time, 3 years later, I got 3 clients before going out of business. 3 years after that, over 1,000 clients now, $2.5 million in sales. And we've been building a consistent and exciting business, fulfilling the mission that God's called me to in my business. I want to help you do the same. And today I have a special guest, my friend Rhonda Caudill. Rhonda is someone who's been a client of ours. She's supporting our team with some marketing efforts right now because she's a genius in that area. She's sponsoring our summer conference, Christian Coaches Academy Live, coming up in July, the 15th through 17th. And she's going to be speaking on marketing and branding. And she's great at brand voice and positioning. She is a marketing and branding strategist in so many different ways. She sees things in a unique way. She's helping us with our YouTube page. She's helping us with LinkedIn. She's helping make sure that all of our branding is consistent across different platforms. She is someone that you want to know because she can definitely add value to your business. She's also a great networker, a great referral partner. She's the kind of person that you want to have what we would call in our community a coffee chat with, because she's just good to meet, she's good to get to know, and a good person to have in your back pocket for a number of different reasons. Rhonda, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this.
Awesome. You and I met several years ago. Can you remind me and refresh for our listeners, how did we meet?
Absolutely. I found you by accident because I had heard that Dan Miller had passed. And I went online just looking for information about that and immediately found your podcast episode that was your tribute to him. And it was very moving. And I still don't remember whether I was on the treadmill or in the car, but I ended up just binge listening to 4 or 5, maybe 6 more episodes of your podcast back to back and thought to myself, this guy gets it, and he is so aligned with what I believe about making money as a Christian entrepreneur and all of the mindset stuff that goes into running a business and really doing it for the glory of God. And I just loved it. And so your call to action at that time was, hey, we're looking for sponsors for CCA Live this summer. And I'm outside Chicago and you're in Milwaukee. And we were just talking about this before we started. It's not that far away. And so I got on your calendar and said, would I be a good fit for your audience? Because they would for sure be a good fit for me, because my heart is to serve other Christian business owners. And you invited me to come. These were your exact words. You said, why don't you come and let us pour into you this time? And the next time you could be a speaker, sponsor, whatever. And I never looked back. I came to that 3-day conference and met so many people, found my tribe, and was so filled up with joy and friendship and support and all of those things. And then I've continued to learn from all of your trainings and all the resources that you have available as a group. It's just been phenomenal.
And that exact vision has played out. You know, your business's vision and momentum. That exact vision of like coming to attend and finding your tribe and receiving first, and then sponsoring it. And look, here we are, which is so fun. And you mentioned Dan Miller, who passed a couple of years ago.
3 years ago now.
It's crazy how fast time flies. I love Dan so much, and it's amazing to hear like you, one of my favorite clients and partners, came to us because of the podcast and the episode about Dan. And what's interesting to me about that, and people might want to go back and listen to it because I shared the things I learned from Dan, but one of the things I learned from Dan is how to play the long game in marketing and branding. And so people who've been around me for a while know that like we teach people how to play the short game, how to answer the question, what can I do today to make a sale this month, and to really build momentum in their business now. But while playing the short game, I believe in playing the long game as well, which is answering a different question. It's like, what can I do every week for the next few years so that business starts to come to me? And one of those things that inspired me was starting a podcast. And I was inspired by Dan because Dan, every single week for 17 to 20 years, something in that range.
Yeah.
He released a podcast episode every week. He sent out an email newsletter every week for so long. It was a long game. It wasn't flashy. It was just consistent. It was high integrity. He was such a good man and such a loving person. And he just showed up over and over and over such a long period of time. And by the end, he's got a 7-figure business, and most of his sales are just coming directly from the podcast. And so that you would come to our community from my podcast and from the podcast episode honoring Dan it's just so cool. And man, I miss him. Thanks for sharing that and reminder. You are an entrepreneur, like I said, helping Christian leaders, Christian entrepreneurs, and others with their marketing, with their branding. How'd you get into that?
That's a God story too. It's kind of funny. So I found myself starting over at 47 after a divorce, and I went back to the one thing that I knew I was very good at, which was interior design. I had had a whole career in Portland, Oregon. From the time I was right out of high school, basically, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Started going to Portland State University as a pre-architecture student, and then was kind of steered into interior design because I was a girl. And there's a whole nother story behind that. But so I embraced that and went after that fully, and had a 10, 12 year long career there, was doing Street of Dreams homes. And so when I started over, I went back to the one thing I knew I was good at, and I knew that I needed to make more money doing it. And the way to do that was commercial work. And so it started this whole domino effect of, well, I have to be licensed to get commercial work. In order to be licensed, I have to have a 4-year degree. You can't even take the test. So I went back to school for interior design, and they expected us to also be presenting all of our work in certain ways. And we had to learn Adobe InDesign and Photoshop and all those things, but they weren't teaching it to us. They were teaching it to the graphic design students. So I had access to all the programs and all the resources and the tutoring and everything I could possibly want. I just didn't get taught how to use those things. And I love to learn, and I hate to be frustrated. So I spent every weekend basically at YouTube University teaching myself all to fill in the blanks of all the parts of the graphic design part I wasn't learning, and realized that was a real gap for the people who were in my cohort who were going to graduate and maybe didn't want to be good employees. They wanted to actually start a business. They weren't teaching us anything about marketing or how to do any of those things. And I saw the need for just not having to wear all the hats. I thought maybe I will become a graphic designer specifically to support other interior designers. So that was the idea with my first business called Presentation Graphics, because my mother used to say presentation is everything. And that's where I spent all my time. It seemed like by attending an art college, they assumed that you were a good designer. They weren't teaching us the principles and elements of design so much. They expected you to know that before you got there. And it seemed like all of the really hard work was just selling your ideas and presenting them in a certain way. So the joke with us was, I had not gotten remarried at that point. Brian was still very patiently waiting for me to finish my degree and putting up with me never being available on the weekends. I mean, I literally turned down family birthday parties. Like, I was glued to my computer trying to get this degree program under my belt. And about 2/3 of the way in my 3rd year, I said, what would you do if I said I wanted to change majors right now? And he jokingly said, I would wrap my hands around your neck and squeeze and not let go. And I went, all right, I'm going to take that as a solid no, and I'm just going to finish my stuff and get the degree and then move on and do something else. And then, as luck would have it, God's got a sense of humor. Brian finally talked me into saying yes to marrying him before the degree program was finished. And so with 2 semesters left to go, I took a semester off, got married, and 6 months later got breast cancer. So that took 1.5 years out of my life, and I was very lucky that I got to go back and finish. And so I went back and finished and got the degree and won a bunch of awards, and my kids flew back and got to see me walk across the stage with the silly hat on and the whole thing. And then I immediately went, well, I'm not going to do that anymore because my heart's not in it anymore. I see potential for other things. And so I did a huge pivot, and partly to accommodate my health and so that I could work at my own pace, I decided to freelance. And I truly believe I probably was destined to be an entrepreneur anyway, because I remember being 8 years old and going door to door and selling a magazine to my neighbors, which I personally published on this little toy printing press that I had. I had 8 subscribers and I charged them $0.25 each, and I made little coupons and different little things. So I've been obsessed with design and typography and bookmaking and all that stuff from way back. So no one who's known me for a long time is surprised that I kind of have my fingers in a lot of pies with self-publishing and doing all of that stuff, because I've always been creative and I've always been kind of an innovator that way and willing to work hard.
Amazing. I love getting to know a little bit about yours and Brian's relationship. I love how you guys are just laughing all the time. You have so much fun
Completely.
together, and
We do.
so supportive of the work that you do, which is such a meaningful thing. What I want to ask about next, I know you're writing a book and you're going to be speaking at our conference. By the way, if people are not signed up yet for the conference, it's Christian Coaches Academy Live. We call it CCA Live. And I want you to come. I want you to meet Rhonda in person. I want you to hang out with us. You can find out more and sign up for the conference at www.f2itribe.com/CCA Live 2026. This will be in the show notes as well, but that's f2itribe.com/CCA Live 2026. Rhonda's going to be speaking about knowing your values, using your gifts, and finding your voice. Rhonda, can we break down each of these pieces one at a time? Can you tell us a little bit about why is it important for the Christian entrepreneur, the Christian coach who's listening, to know their values as they grow their business?
Well, as we were talking about before, a lot of times when you're doing a branding and website design type of project, they always tell you, start with the ideal client avatar. There's all these ICA exercises out there. That's fine. We need that. But I start 2 steps back, and that is, what are your values? What are you trying to do with this business? What's going to make it sustainable for you to design a work environment for yourself? And you say this all the time. You're the only person that's always going to be in your business. Your clients are going to come and go, things can shift, but it's about you. And I truly believe if you start from your values, it makes everything else so much easier. When you're creating content, again, the gurus are going to say, start with content pillars and stay in your lane and stay focused. That's true, but the way to get there and to find those things is to know what your values are and figure out how do you want to show up, and how does your business as an entity need to show up in the marketplace. And just starting from your values gives you an unfair advantage, because you absolutely are going to attract the right people. They're going to be more aligned. People are going to come to you already sold on you as a person, because you are your brand. We can do all the fun, crazy visual stuff and do the copywriting and really dial it in from a marketing standpoint, but you are your brand. And so that really matters. And that's where I like to start.
Yeah, that's been a huge part of Faith to Influence success from the beginning, is like having a clear set of values. And I have recognized all the time throughout our history that those values attract our tribe. And
Absolutely.
It also makes everybody who's in our community want to be in community with one another. There's just this natural vibe about the whole thing because of the shared value system. I love that as a first step for people. The second thing that you mentioned is use your gifts. Talk to us about that.
That's my entire thing. Like, I recognize everyone has the same purpose. A lot of people are like, well, I'm looking for purpose. We all have the same purpose. God created us in his image to do his work and to reflect him to the people around us who don't know him. We all have the same purpose. That's our purpose. Our calling and how we live that out is using the gifts that we were given. People will compliment you on something that comes naturally to you that you don't even realize is really amazing. That's partly how you figure out what your true gifts are, if you're even remotely uncertain of that. You'll be able to remember the things where you kind of got into that flow state and the things that came easy and were fun to you as a child. And a lot of times you can apply those to the skills that you have as an adult. They're deeply buried in you, but they don't change over time. It's really, really the same thing. So you do know. Nothing makes me sad faster than having somebody say, oh, I wish I could be creative like you. I'm not creative. I'm like, oh, no, you are. You were created in God's image, and he is nothing but creative. In fact, when I was finishing my degree, I remember begrudgingly being given an A on a biology assignment from an adjunct professor, and I blew him out of the water. I did a paper on fractal geometry, which was fascinating to me, and the gist of that practically proved the existence of a creative God. in the universe, because it was like you look at the cracks in the earth under the ocean and a map of a baby's heartbeat and you see those line up. That is not by chance, my friend. So I always tried to pull my faith into everything that I was doing so that when I was done with that experience, I had a whole body of work that really kind of showed who I was too. And that's what I want for other people. It's just ask yourself why, go the 7 layers. I've never had to ask myself why 7 times. I've gotten to like 4 or 5 and been like, that's what this is really about. Okay. And you get to know yourself at a deep level, and then you serve from that place because you know what's truly yours to do, and things that are not yours to do. Like, I love being able to accelerate other people's gifts by naming them and saying, here's your path. Like, this is so clear to everyone else that this is your gift.
Yeah.
And I have had people pour into me and tell me that too. When I went back to school for design, my sister goes, well, of course you are. You've been a designer your entire life. Do you not remember as a child rearranging the furniture in your bedroom? In your mind, there was a way to make templates and to create these designs and make sure that they worked.
Yeah.
And she's like, you've been doing that your whole life. I was like, all right.
Know yourself and serve from that place. It's so true, because a lot of us try to be someone else. And I think when we accept and love who God made us to be, and we use those gifts, and whether it's through the lens of sales or marketing or whatever it is, there's so much opportunity to bring our gifts directly into it. And when people see who we really are and experience our gifts in the way that God made us, that's what's going to attract the right people. I love that.
Absolutely.
And then the third piece of this is finding your voice. And interestingly, you've gone through a big transformation over the last couple of years. Like, you, from when I met you, I mean, you're an amazing person from the moment I met you, and you have really blossomed and really gone through a transformation that's been cool to see. And I feel like you've really found your voice over the last couple of years in a new way. What's that look like for others?
That is, again, it stems from your values. You have to appreciate that God made us all different. We all have a different combination of experiences and challenges and things we've overcome. Sometimes it's the negative stuff and the things that were hard that also shaped us, and it's our responses to those things and how our values shine through and the decisions we make in that way that make us who we are. That's what we have to offer other people. We're here. We're all stuck on this marble together. I often say, I think 2020 was about God going, when it comes down to it, all you have is each other, so figure it out. I feel like what's come out of that is people are like, yeah, I have something to offer. I'm different. We're all different, and it's our differences that allow us to serve each other. And the fastest way to spiral into disappointment and discouragement and all those words that the enemy wants us to have in our heads, those don't come from God. That comes from us comparing ourselves to other people and then measuring ourselves on a yardstick we were never meant to have. Like, the only thing that matters is, am I living in my gifts and using my values and reflecting God to other people and helping them do that too?
Yeah.
One of my taglines is, my gift is helping you use yours. And I really believe that. I personally love to be in the background. I love to get a 30,000-foot view of what other people are trying to put together, and the people that are frustrated with their tech and can't figure out all the moving parts. I'm like, this is easy. We just need to do this particular list of 1,000 things. Just needs to start here and go here and go here. And they're overwhelmed, and it just makes perfect sense in my brain. And so if I can encourage them that they're on the right track and they only need to do what's for them, and just don't look from side to side. That's why it's so important to start with that. You know what God has given you to do, and all you need to do is stay in that lane, and it turns you into the person that the people that need you will find you.
Yeah.
If you're holding back on something that's part of your gift, you're doing a disservice to everyone around you, because there is someone who needs to hear exactly word for word what you're about to share from your own experience and your heart. And that you may never know the domino effect or the pebble in the pool, the ripple effect of living out your values and saying what needs to be said and putting it out into the world. It's going to reach people. I really believe that.
Yes, find your voice. Well, I like to call it your authentic leadership voice, and yours is different than mine, and the listener in Kentucky's is different than the one who's listening from Seattle right now. And the people listening from different countries across the world. We've all got our own voice, our own story, our own values and gifts, and God's made us each uniquely in his image. And so there's an opportunity for us to share our authentic leadership voice, and that's going to attract people. So one of the things that Rhonda is going to talk about at the conference, I'm going to save this for the conference, is brand voice and positioning. She's going to give the gift of helping you find your brand voice, helping you find your positioning. Whether you are an analytical person, an analytical decision maker, or you're an emotional person, an emotional decision maker, whether you are introverted or extroverted, whether you see yourself yet as creative or not quite there yet, in all positions as Christian coaches and entrepreneurs and leaders and speakers and influencers, trainers, Rhonda's going to help you find your brand voice and your positioning through her message at the conference. If you want help, you can't wait. You want some help now. She's got a cool call to action. She wants to invite you to her Profit and Possibilities Map. And MAP stands for Marketing Action Plan. You can get this at visionandmomentum.com, visionandmomentum.com/possibilities-map. We'll include this in the show notes as well. visionandmomentum.com/possibilities-map, and come to the conference and learn from Rhonda in person. We're going to have a lot of fun there. Rhonda, you've been to the last 2 CCA Live conferences. Why should somebody who's listening sign up and join us there?
Life-changing. Oh my gosh. The energy of being in a room with like-minded people that are truly there to support each other, and it's just so collaborative. I feel like coaching is one of those things where there's different lanes, but everyone has their own approach. Everyone has their own framework that they use. They serve in a different way. It so clearly uses that unique combination of experiences and aptitudes that people have. There's no apples to apples comparison that's even possible. It's just such a synergy when everyone just is there wanting the best for each other, and there's such great presentations. I have learned so much. I had a great compliment actually from one of our mutual friends, Nathan. One of our exercises where we were to switch tables and kind of share what we had learned at one of our exercises. I brought this ridiculously bright orange notebook with me, and I normally use these black ones. I use these for client work, and I have a whole stack of them here. And he came over and he goes, "You know what? If I had sat down here and you'd been in the restroom or out in the hallway and I saw this notebook, I knew this was where you were sitting, because it was open and I was drawing like diagrams and taking all the notes, and I must have filled 30 pages of that notebook with notes from the various speakers. And I have referred back to it 100 times since that. And I'm still referring back to the things that I learned from the speakers the year before that. And the relationships. It's like when you have one of those really emotionally moving experiences with people, and we're not locked in a room together, but we're spending a lot of time together in those 3 days in the hotel, and we're having our meals together, and the magic from the times outside of the teaching moments too, where you're connecting with people and sharing your goals and having people truly look you in the eye and say, yes, you will. It is just so powerful. So I just can't recommend it enough. I mean, obviously I want people to come because I'm going to be on stage and I want to talk to a full room full of people, but it's a gift to be part of that group and part of that experience. And even if it's the first time that you've ever experienced the F2I tribe, because I came without knowing a soul and immediately made friends, and I sat at a different table each time and just met a ton of people that I just hold dear in my heart to this day, and we'll probably stay friends forever.
Amen. I love that. Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you don't know the community yet and you feel like, oh, you're going to be by yourself, I promise you everyone's going to welcome you with open arms. They're going to encourage you. They're going to love on you. You're going to feel like you're with best friends quickly in this environment. Great speakers, great networking. Last year we had 75 people, which really filled the room that we had. We're having them take down a wall since we're holding in the same space. So that we can have a little bit bigger room and have room for 100 people this year. And so if you haven't attended with us yet, we would love for you to be there. And if you've been with us the last couple of years, of course, we'd love for you to be back. Sign up for the conference at www.f2itribe.com/CCA Live 2026. We still have early bird tickets available, and we'd love for you to have one of them. Rhonda, thanks for joining us today. God bless everyone. We'll see you soon. Hopefully see you at the conference.
Please come.